Alright guys, let's talk about SEO, what's going on with the oil crisis, what's going on with the Glut, the Contango, what my opinions are, where's everything going. Because in my opinion, if we're talking about stocks, I think that the biggest money to be made is going to be in the market with oil. And a lot of people are doing Exxon Mobil. What do I think about Exxon Mobil? Well, if you look at Exxon Mobil's stock graph, it's been trending down for a long time. And I know there's a lot of people that got positions in at 90, at 70 on their buy-in. And, they don't want to lose their money. And, they think that because it went down, it's going to go back up. And I think it will a little bit, but what you have to understand is ExxonMobil is an American company. You don't want an American company right now when oil is trading at $20 a barrel. We got Saudi Arabia, we got Russia that can make barrels of oil for $8 to $10 respectively. And there's a war going on right now in oil, obviously. Between Saudi Arabia and Russia is what everyone's saying, but it's really a war between Saudi Arabia, Russia, and America. And so these oil giants in America, there's a lot of people, and I 100% back them, that think that a few of the smaller ones we're thinking are going under, and then possibly things like ExxonMobil, Shell, Chevron, these guys are in danger. And so back to my point, going into a stock like ExxonMobil with a downtrend, with bad news, they're starting to do Contango, which is good for ExxonMobil. That's good news for ExxonMobil, but I think the profit margin is just too slim. There was a lot of talk about EV cars and moving forward with EV cars, and that's, I think, a reason as to why there was a downtrend. But with everything that's going on in the economy right now and a possible recession, depression, I don't think people are going to be buying new cars. And I don't think the EV market, EV means electric vehicle. I don't think that electric vehicles are as much of a threat to the oil companies anymore as they used to be. I think the main problem is Saudi Arabia and Russia. And so where are we at? So that's ExxonMobil. Talking about USO, USC, the main difference is that I think about USO and USC when I see them, because there's a lot of talk about it. I think USO is more, like the name brand. It's the company that people, it has a bigger market cap than UCO. But I think they're both good. I would invest in both of them. And I actually do like, against the popular grain on analyst, I do like UCO better than USO because I think it has a higher profit margin. And I understand the market cap's not big. The market cap is a big deal. Everybody likes blue chip stocks. Everybody likes the name brands. Everybody thinks that those are going to thrive the most, and to their point, they do. But I just think that, from what I've seen, I'm going to cost base average out UCO. That's going to be my play. And right now we're bottoming out right now because we're in a Contango situation, which basically means that, yeah, we did have oil contracts fall. And I'll get to that in a second. We did have oil contracts fall, and now they're starting to go back up. With Nordic American tanker, that is, in my opinion, I think that's the best oil tanker stock. Oh my gosh. It's up 200%. And do I think that it's going to go up, down? Is it a hold? Is it a buy? Is it a sell? Well, the thing is, I was running the numbers, and I'm going to save that for a video because I really want to make a video on Nordic American tankers and do an analyst video on that. But basically, these oil tanker stocks, just because you're looking at the direct effect of oil and there is a Contango currently, it doesn't mean that these oil tanker storage companies aren't still going to be profitable because they're signing contracts. They're not going on day-to-day basis. They do charge day-to-day, but it's not the contracts that they're making with these oil companies to store the oil is on a monthly period, 2 to 6 months out. And so, we could be looking at potentially having earnings up until, definitely quarter one, definitely quarter two. And, it'd be a little risky, but you can hold on to this stock till quarter three. But like everybody's saying, and I 100% agree, this is definitely a short-term hold. The oil storage companies. It does pay out a strong dividend, and I have heard strong cases for people wanting the oil storage because it pays out a 5% dividend, which is very good. And, a lot of companies right now are cutting their dividends, and especially in times like this, so it would be a strong dividend because they just got a massive amount of revenue in. But I just don't know how sustainable it is. Talking about 3-5 years out the future, even to your point, if you're trying to say that you're buying it because it's got a 5% dividend and you got in a good buy-in, I think by far the best way to go about it would be to wait till second or third quarter and take your profits and run. So obviously you can tell that I'm thinking this is a buy-in, and we can see. We can talk about it. Nordic American tanker, we can make a separate video talking about that. But going through UCO, like specifically, there's a lot of talk, a lot of hate going on UCO. I like USO, and I like UCO better than I like USO. It's just I'm a profit margin guy. Like I want to get a good buy-in. I want to get an intrinsic value, and we'll talk more about that. But I want to get the best intrinsic value, and then I want to buy under value, and then I want to sell, and I want to hold when I have a lot of profit margins. That's how I do it. Some other people ride the wave, which I think is way riskier, and it's based off emotions, and it's exactly the opposite of what Warren Buffett says. But we'll talk about that, because like right now, the intrinsic value on oil on these contracts is exactly what everyone's talking about. Yeah, everyone's like, bro, it's so bullish, it's so bearish. Bro, intrinsic value, guys, like everything's not about, stock market grabs. When you're buying into these companies, you're buying a percentage of the business, and if you're buying it for a steal and it's not gonna go under, it makes the most sense. So UCO, USO, here's what I think about it. I'll tell you what everyone else thinks about it first. All these analysts, everybody, I read a lot of YouTube comments, everybody's saying that USO is is a horrible trade. First off, everybody's knocking USO buyers. Mostly millennials are buying into this stock, which is awesome. And everybody is knocking USO buyers, saying that they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know the stock well. And because they thought that USO was a, I forget the word, like basically, a spot price. They were thinking that USO was a spot price on oil. And while it's not, it's still a very good judge trading contracts. It's actually a better judge, in my opinion, than the spot price, because we keep seeing a trending downturn. We kept seeing a trending downturn on oil. In these, and what USO tracks is it's a fund for contracts. And so when you're talking about a month out, 2 months out, and they just changed their agreements with these oil companies, now they can buy contracts out 3 months if they want. A proportion of 3 months to safeguard. And so it's better, in my opinion, than a spot price, because it's literally seeing into the future. Essentially, we're talking about oil prices month out. So with that being said, yes, if you say USO is not the spot price of oil, yes, you are correct. It is the appraisal of the current contracts that are being traded a month out in oil. And oil prices were negative, which basically means for the oil companies, they weren't making profits, is what that means. and it was costing them more money to move the oil, to store the oil, to take it off the oil company's hands was costing them more money. The oil wasn't actually like, because the oil prices, like as far as gas and stuff, it's not like actually like negative. Oil's heavy, guys. Oil's heavy. No one's talked about that, but like, let's go, guys. Oil is heavy, and to move it, to store it, if you're talking about gallons and gallons and gallons and gallons, those big drums. That's what everyone else thinks. Everyone else was knocking every single trader, bro. It was like every single trader was getting knocked, and they're like, and like literally the comments were keyboard warriors, like, you don't know what you're talking about. USO isn't the spot price of oil. And I mean, like, as a competent investor, I was just like, bro, I know that USO isn't the spot price, but it's still the contract, and that's still a really good appraisal of the situation that's going on. That's how I see it. And a lot of people, main argument was that it's a bear market. Everyone was saying USO is a bear market, and I really don't care. To be quite honest with you, I don't care if USO has, the cross of death like 30 times. I don't care. Because it's not even a stock, bro. It's not even a stock, and everybody's like, all these analysts are talking about how bearish it is. Bro, it's not a stock. Like, how are you going to tell me that you care about, like, basically this fund is not reliant on emotions, it's reliant on the facts. And so with this specific trading fund, we're not concerned about the emotions or the graphs necessarily, as far as like what dictates the price. We're worried about the current situation, the future situation, and how those are going to affect oil prices. That being said, I think that oil at 90% off is incredible. I think it's incredible. And I have a lot of adversaries that are saying the exact opposite. And they're saying that it's a bullish market, or it's a bearish market. Everyone's saying USO is a bearish market. I don't care that USO is a bearish market. I don't care that it has a downtrend. I don't care that nobody else is buying into this, or that a lot of people are buying. I don't care that a lot of people are buying into this right now, mostly millennials, and they're doing the dumber theory or whatever was what they thought was going on, which basically means that they thought that U.S. oil was a horrible investment, and that people just were banking on people coming in and making the investment just like they did, so that the oil prices would go up. But when we're talking about commodities, and I knew this, like, because like I was invested in gold a long time ago, and my gold investment is only up 4%. If commodities traded like stocks, I would consider myself to think that I would be trading at around 20% on gold. But I'm up like 4 or 3%. I made my last video, I showed my gold holding. I'm only up like 3%. And it's because it's a commodity. It trades like a commodity. It's trading for what it's worth. And so, with that being said, USO, what do I think about it? I think that when we're talking about the short term, yes, oil is not a good short-term investment. The other thing I'm saying is, if you want to invest in USO, you got to know the news, because first off, you got to know the buying dates. Like, I can tell you right now that we hit a bottom for sure. Oil prices were negative. We're in a contango. That means everything should start going up. So we're at the bottom right now. We're starting to curve on an uptrend right now, and so buying in right now. There's predictions that you can't just close these oil wells. It's really hard to stop production, and this is, and so and like the demand is not going anywhere. We are still having low demand. Like, just because all these oil companies want to say whatever, like, there's still low demand. There's still nothing's open, guys. There's low demand. So I mean, if you guys want to believe that ExxonMobil is somehow being profitable right now, you go ahead and do that. Like, you're living in a fairy tale land. You know, there's a reason that we're at all-time high storage rates. The oil company was heavily organized to run off of debt, heavily organized to run off of revenue, heavily organized to get a constant flow, because that's optimal. And oil companies are huge, multi-billion-dollar companies. They need those CEOs to like perfectly orchestrate money to cash flow. And so when you take away that cash flow and you take away that revenue, you know, you cut the block and things aren't flowing anymore. You get a buildup. And when you get that buildup going up, you know, the debts can't get paid off. I'm telling you, I think that the oil companies are going to get bankrupt. And I think the bigger question is, are the company, are the United States going to bail out oil? And that's a good question. I think that's a better question than should I invest in ExxonMobil. I think that's a way better question than should I invest in ExxonMobil. So for the short term, if you want to invest in ExxonMobil, I think there is going to be some profit margins between the percentages of 10 to 20%, but I do not think that it's a sound investment whatsoever long term. Long term, I'm saying that USO is going to be your best bet. And here's why. Here's my number one reasons as to why I think USO is a gold mine. It's an oil mine. It's a freaking oil contract storage signing contract Contango gold mine. This is what I'm thinking. This is my opinion with USO. Long term, USO. Oil obviously is going to take a huge hit. Oil companies are going to take a huge hit. There's going to be a huge rise in demand of people driving once this whole thing blows over. You know, we can talk about this for days, but like at the end of the day, I think that oil is going to be worth more. Whole thing is over than when, like, the actual price of oil, I think, is going to skyrocket. I think the actual price of oil is going to skyrocket because, you know, I think giant oil companies are going to get knocked out of the game. I think giant companies getting knocked out of the game, or at least the smaller ones, it's going to clean up their whole, you know, business model. That's what I think about USO. I think that long term, I think that it is a risky investment, but I think the risk on it is, you know, I hear a lot of people say that risk reward going on, and is the risk equal to the reward? And for USO, I think that the risk is down here, and I think the reward is up here. When you look at the oil demand that's going to happen once everything's lifted, it's going to go back to normal. All these companies are going to take hits. Everybody's going to need to make some more money. The only thing that I see as a long-term problem to USO, the only thing that I see as a long-term problem to USO, to UCO, is that UCO, USO, they could be looking at a problem with the whole Saudi Arabia thing. Saudi Arabia, Russia. Everybody wants to keep oil prices low, and that could be a real issue. And both companies, or both countries have spoken out about this. Saudi Arabia, Russia, they said that they have enough money supplied up to last them 6 years on an oil war for prices. So with that being said, I mean, this could be a play that takes 6 years. But once those big players, like my main point is long term, holding USO, holding UCO. My main point is that, you know, at the absolute most, at 6 years, there's going to be big, huge players getting knocked out of the game. There's going to be less people producing oil. And guys, if there's more EVs, that's good, because if there's less people producing oil, then it's going to be worth more. Just like if there's less gold in circulation, then it's going to be worth more. So like, a lot of these things that people are seeing as negatives are positives right now, and they're going to be positives in the future. So I just don't see the commodity airplanes they're supplying to manufacturers. I'll post a picture. Guys, with the airplanes being grounded, there's just going to be a huge oil glut. I think it's going to continue to rise. And so when we're talking about USO, I think that, yeah, we bottomed out just maybe 4 days ago. We bottomed out. We hit Contango. I think it was a perfect time to buy USO. I think it was a perfect time to buy UCO. That being said, I think that because nothing has changed, I think it's going to go down more. And everybody that's an analyst is going to be like freaking out. All these YouTube analysts are going to be freaking out saying, well, guys, it's a bear market. Nobody's going to buy this. Like, just because people are buying this stock doesn't mean that, or this commodity doesn't mean that it's going to go up. And that's true. But long term, I'm telling you, 6 years from now at the absolute most, this oil commodity is going to be a gold mine to hold on to. You're going to be in such a legendary position. It's literally going to be in the history books that, yeah, this was, unless you're buying, the only way to spot price oil, because a lot of people want to take advantage of this oil crisis situation, the only way to take advantage of spot price oil prices would be to go to these oil producers and buy oil off of them, and now you have to hold it, and now you have to move it, and they're not going to want to do contracts with you. You really think they're going to sell you 1 barrel of oil? Like, you wish. Like, and they don't have time to set up infrastructure to move those kind of low trade deals. They're like, okay, you want 10,000 barrels of oil? We'll send you 10,000 barrels of oil. You don't have the income in the connections to get 10,000 barrels of oil. And plus, I told you, you already missed your first bottom. Trading next contracts are going to be, the next contracts are already out, and we're already in Contango. So I want to get the spot price on oil. That's just a fantasy. That's a luxury that these USO companies are dealing with right now because it's negative for them, which is affecting their commodity. But I'm telling you, it's going up. We're already in Contango. Nothing's changed in the economy. We're going to continue dropping. The prices are going to continue to drop. And when they continue to drop, when oil prices continue to drop, at least, we're in a small Contango. I just think that the prices on these contracts are going to drop within a month, maybe 2 months we're looking at. I think that right now, USO, this was before, this is now, and this is going to be the future of USO, just because I just think the economy, and I could be wrong, and the reality of the situation, the truth is, nobody knows. Nobody knows what the situation is on the stock market, and I think like these Contangos, like everything's trading in the same manner. The whole system seems to be recovering extremely well, a little too well in my opinion. I know my Facebook stock's up 40%, and like that's understandable, but like I don't, because like that's not really affected by the shutdown. But when you're talking about oil, which is heavily effective, and you see these, I just can't understand where people are coming from. I think maybe these are new investors that just want to get their feet in the water with these stocks, and I would say that's a terrible idea. I get it. You want to, when you're buying real estate, when you're buying stocks, when you're buying a business, you just want to get in there. You just want to make your position. And I think that's what's happening right now. And what I can tell you is that is not a good idea, guys. Be patient, because yeah, you can buy in, to a stock just to say that you're in the stock, just to say you have a position in the stock. If, let's say, it's trading at $100, but if the next day it's down $50, you're going to wish you were patient. You are going to wish that you did your research, that you took your time, and that you bought in when the best price available, not when it was the most convenient time to buy for you. Like, you just buy a brokerage account. That doesn't necessarily mean, okay, I just bought a brokerage account, now I have to invest in some stock. Whoa.
wait it out a little bit. I think that's what's going on with a lot of new investors. And I think there are a lot of new investors, given the current situations. I think that a lot of younger kids, it used to be millennials. I think Generation Z is now starting to get into the stock market. I've already heard a few stories, not as much as the millennials. I think that, the straggler millennials are starting to get into it. But regardless, if you're a Generation Z, if you're a millennial, whatever the deal is, you guys, don't just buy in to buy in. Buy in at a good price. So be patient. If you have $100 on the sidelines, let it be on the sidelines, because you want it to be on the sidelines. You don't want to lose money. I'm telling you, patience is going to make you the money in this deal. And so with that being said, I think there is going to be another bottom for contracts. And I think that bottom's going to be awesome. I think that's going to be an awesome buy-in. But I think that, with how USO is trading right now, you still are on a 50, a 60, a 70% decline from normal prices. So if you want to buy in right now, that's not a bad idea to secure your position, because nobody does know where the stock market's going to wind up. Nobody knows how positive, how negative this thing's going to go. And so if you're talking about the long term, I think it would still be a good buy-in to buy in right now. But what I'm saying is, don't put all your money into it. Let's say you've traded $100, I would put in like 20, 30. If you really, really, really want to get in, 40, but I would not recommend that. I'd say 35, and then I would say hold 70. I would say hold 70% of your buying power. Your buying power is how much money you have to invest. Okay, if you're already in the market, you're good. You're good. If you bought in, at some good prices, you're good. I'm saying USO is a hold. I'm saying that you're losing 50% on your money, bro, right now. If you bought in, towards the beginning, if you brought in and you're losing 60, 70% on your money, hold, because the upside. So let's say you take your USO, so let's talk about USO as a buy, hold, and sell. I'm saying that I would say buying 35%, if you're not already in the game, is going to be the buy-in on that. On the hold strategy, I'd say guaranteed it's a hold long term. If you're talking about short term, that's a tough situation, and you really got to feel out the situation. The only reason that I would sell USO if you haven't bought into it right now is if you think that the economy, or if you think that the stock market is just going to soar. If you think that short term, that you're buying into other stocks like gas, like American Airlines, and you think that those companies are just going to soar, then you should sell. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that they're going to go down more. I think that the stock market is living in a fantasy, because these stocks are trading for well above what they're worth given current circumstances. And, the stock market prices just keep going up, and we're still in this bad situation. It's not a good situation that we're in right now. And we're talking about ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil's not in a good situation right now, and we're seeing that its stock prices is up 16-20%, and that's just not consistent with reality. And I think that's going to be the general appraisal for the entire market right now. And so if you are in USO, if you are in USC, to even recover your 70%, you're going to have to gain 70% of the market to break even on the money you invested. And I think there's way more upside to this whole oil thing than there is downside. And I think because of the position that you bought into, if you currently own USO, I think the position that you currently bought into, the intrinsic value on that is so strong that it's going to be one of your safest investments. Now, if you want to ride it out, if you want to ride out the emotions, if you want to ride out a bull market, it's looking kind of bullish. I'm looking at some of these stocks, and I'm very surprised at how bullish these stocks are acting. You can do that. I wouldn't recommend it at all. So a final just summary analysis. Is USO a buy? USO is a buy, but I think it's going to dip more in the future. Obviously not right now. I think in the future USO is going to dip more, and that buying 30% of your buying power is going to be the best going in with that. As far as hold, I think that the upside on USO is way too strong. I think that not only are you going to see a full recoup of your money at, even a 70% loss and 90% loss, I think you're going to see a full recoup of your money, and that it's going to go up. The downside to that is that it might take 6 years, but it's going to go up. And so I think that the potential upside is too strong to sell unless you think that you can make 100-200% in another stock, and you'd have to get in at just the right spot. And I think with USO, if you recently just bought in, I think you're at the perfect position right now to make that long term. And as far as sell, we just covered it. If you really think that the market is gonna recover right now, if you really think that it's going to be bullish, if you really think that there's some secret stock that nobody knows about, that's trading well below what it's worth, or that some stock is super bullish and that people are just going to ride it out up to 100%, then yes, sell it.